handle in this series because of the personnel that the San Antonio Spurs have and are throwing at him. Ant-Man knows he's got to step up and do it for them, and I think he answers the call tonight.
Okay, I'll go with the opposition here, and I'll take Victor Wembanyama to score 25 or more points because he scored 27 and 39 in his last 2 full games. Remember, the ejection was sandwiched in between there. I feel like this series just feels like a wrap. The Spurs are going to win this one, and it's going to be on the back of Victor Wembanyama that scores 25 or more points. Let's now say hello to Kenny the Jet Smith, who joins us now here on First Take. What's up, Kenny? How are you? Let's specifically.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good everything to all of y'all.
Love that.
Kenny.
Look at him in
Queens
his suit
in the building.
tie.
Queens in the building.
Today, I see that.
And
Yes.
all day, man. And I'm so happy to be here with my my Carolinian brethren over there that's 15 miles away.
Unbelievable.
Who said that we weren't relevant. Are we relevant now, Mr. Williams? Are we?
I've been
you see
waiting
the
for
moves
it.
we're making.
Kenny, I've been
Are
waiting
we
for
relevant in Chapel Hill right now? That's
Yeah.
all I have to say.
You ain't wrong. You ain't wrong.
All right, that's
Okay.
cute. Okay, that's cute. We'll talk more about that during college basketball season. Can we get to the NBA playoffs now? Let's zoom in on the Cavs and the Pistons here. Kenny, if James Harden has a good game tonight, can he affect his legacy? Can he change the narrative?
Well, the legacy is not affected. James Harden is an MVP. He is a multiple All-Star. He is a first ballot Hall of Famer. But his script on how he gets there changes because, in 10 years, the kids of Jason or anyone else will not remember certain things. They'll just say, wow, look at the numbers this guy put up. But I think the script changes for sure if he's able to just secure positive affecting moments in game 6 and 7. They don't have to be 40-point games. Just don't turn the basketball over. You shoot over 50%, and you make sure that everyone gets the ball in the right places. I think his problem in this series has been turning the basketball over when he's not his best. And between he and Cade Cunningham, whoever turns the ball over less seems to be the team who wins.
Jay, I'm going to re-tee you on the same question about Harden, but a little differently here. What will we say about Harden if he has a good game tonight?
I think we end up talking about the last 3 games. James has been playing with more pace and more sense of urgency. And you can see that in his shot-making ability. I think the bigger problem, Kenny, I would love to get your opinion on this too, S.A., is that, I think the world, we want James to be a winner. We want him to win the big one. And when you're a player of his skill and his ceiling, you want to see that memorialized the right way. And I think that's a lot of the problems when you hear basketball people talk about James. Because, Kenny, from a young age, I've always been taught what you put into the game is what you will get out of it. And there are a lot of times when you watch James play, there's certain moments, like you said, those moments that show up. It's maybe not about dropping 40, but those moments when you see him having the ability to put into the game what he wants out of it. And at times it feels like he doesn't do that, right? So I hope that we're up here saying one day that, hey, it's cemented itself because we all understand the talent. We understand how prolific of a scorer he is. But now we're able to put the final wrapper and bow around it, that he's the winner that we always knew his talent could reach if he were to buy into it. Does that make sense, Kenny?
Makes sense. There's a saying, and I know Stephen has a lot to add to it. There's a saying that, I use all the time, from the great Walt Frazier, that the regular season you make your name, but the playoffs is when you make your fame. And if you think about his career, he's had 41 games where he's had 30 points or more in a playoff game. So you were like, my goodness, he has become famous in the playoffs. But if you say, okay, out of those 41 games, just with Houston, that was just with Houston. You say, okay, what was the shots that you remember? You remember that, if you think of every great player, there's a signature moment in the playoffs where they propelled their team, not because of the whole entirety of the game. Jordan, because of, obviously we know the shot Michael makes. We know the shot LeBron's made. We know all of these great player moments. He hasn't had the signature playoff moment that's going to be played on the opening of ESPN and ABC when we open the game 10 years from now and they go the greatest moments in his playoff history. He doesn't have that moment yet, and I think that is what we're waiting for. If people root for, because we all loved his game or love his game.
I think the important part that of this discussion that everybody needs to understand. You know, Jay might say it with a stoic look on his face. I might say it with a serious look on my face. Kenny Smith might say it with a smile on his face. But we're all saying the same thing. We want to see your greatness shine. It doesn't matter who you are. I know that I don't root against guys being successful. I know that y'all don't either. What we want to see is that if you are great, we want to see you go up against greatness and still be great. That's what we want from James Harden. Yeah, okay, you still got a career. You get ready to sign a new contract in the offseason in all likelihood. You've signed a multitude of contracts over the years. You've been in the league for over a decade and a half. We know that you're going to the Hall of Fame. We know you're one of the great players to have ever played the game. We know you're one of the most prolific scorers we've ever seen. You're on the all-time 75th anniversary team and all of this other stuff. We know all of this. But you're still out on the court, and you're still chasing that elusive ring. And to capture it, it usually calls upon you as a great player to be great when the moments require it most. And that is what you've fallen short on. We're not rooting against you. We are hoping that you pull it off. We want to see what you're going to do. This is what they don't hear this enough. We can be on national television. I don't give a damn who's in front of you. It's like it doesn't matter who it is. If you don't utter every syllable in the most effusive and complimentary way, oh, you hating? No. We are fans. We want to see you do this because we know you can. You don't hear us requiring it from people that we know can't do it because we know they can't do it. I mean, certain people are scrubs. You understand? There's a difference between Kenny Smith, Jay Williams, and Stephen A. Smith on the basketball court. There are levels. You understand what I'm saying? There's a reason I talk about it. I became famous talking about it, and y'all were famous doing it. That because I couldn't. Period. You see what I'm saying? The requirements from y'all are going to be different than what would be required of me. So the point is, if you're James Harden, we've seen greatness in every other forum from you, except moments like this tonight, or a potential Game 7, or a conference finals Game 6 or 7, or dare I say an NBA Finals. We haven't seen that. We're waiting for that because we know that your talent is supposed to be able to deliver those goods.
Well, what an opportunity for Harden tonight. At home, a closeout game, a place the Cavs have not lost this entire postseason, excuse me. So maybe the narrative will change this evening. Meanwhile, we go to the West and the other Game 6. That would be Wemby and the Spurs. They also find themselves on the brink of a conference finals after a dominant Game 5 performance by Wemby. The Frenchman had 27 points, but was even more impressive on the defensive end as the Timberwolves scored just 9 points on 4 of 17 field goals when Wembanyama contested their shot in Game 5. That's per ESPN video tracking. So, Jay, Will, at this point, does it feel like title or bust for San Antonio?
Yes. Title or bust. What a great place to be. What an opportunity, Kenny, S.A., that you have the talent to sit up there in front of all the depth that you have, in front of maybe the greatest player that the game of basketball potentially has ever seen. I'm not saying that's going to translate to accolades and things that compete with Michael and LeBron and how we categorize that, but the game has never seen somebody 7'5" that moves the way Wemby does. And the reason why it's title or bust for me, guys, is Dan Campbell said something a couple of years ago when they faced the 49ers in the NFC Championship game. After they lost, he said at the post presser, he said, I don't know if we're going to be back here again. So as much as people can say, oh, well, they're young, they can be. Look, I got drafted second behind a guy who was 7'5". I didn't know how long Yao Ming was going to play. Guys like that, you can have injuries. You can have a foot injury, a back injury. Things